Today, rather, it gives indication that all of us have an identity. The reality is of our identity is that either we are identified by our salvation, which comes from God, or we are identified by our sin, which comes from Satan. And my brothers and sisters, I don't know who you are, I don't know who I'm talking to, but I thank God that those of us who have been born again understand that our identity must line up with the word of the Almighty God. Why? Because when we look at this text, as we move throughout the 7 churches of Asia Minor, we want to discover and discuss that we just can't live just any kind of way. For those of you who studied with me through the midst of these series in Bible study, understand that God says to the believer, he that hath an ear to hear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying to the church. Notice the text today, he uses the identity of the church because, Doc, we got to understand, he's not talking to just anybody. But what he's talking to, or who he's talking to, is from the Greek word, the ecclesia, the called out. In other words, he's talking to us who have been born again. And I don't know, beloved, who you are. I don't know what you got going on this morning, but I stopped by to tell each and every one of us, we got to make sure that we're not just standing before people every Sunday morning. No, we can't make sure, we got to make sure we're not just standing before people every day of the week, but we got to make sure that when we stand before people, they don't see us, but they see our Savior, Jesus Christ. Do I have any help in here? Because anytime, beloved, we must understand there are people who live with us. There are people that live around us that are living as wolves in sheep clothing. And I don't know, beloved, who it is today, but I just want to share with somebody in here. You cannot just be any person in the eyes of God. If you're going to be somebody, you got to be one that says, God, I live, and God, I die. Why, beloved, must you say that? Because you understand you are the church which God provides protection. You're the church which God provides provision. You're the church that God will provide his power. And beloved, I stop by to tell you, if you lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge God, how many of y'all in here know God will direct your path? That's why, beloved, I don't want you to see me as LaCoya. I don't want to see you to see me just as your pastor, but I want you to see me as a son of the living God. Why, beloved? Because one of these days, that's when he comes from heaven to earth, when he calls us from life to life everlasting, he's not going to be concerned about what church you went to. He don't care about what your name is or what position you have. He wants to know, have you been born again? Let me see if I can survey the church. Is there anybody in the Friendship Church know you've been born again? Is there anybody in here know you've been bought with a price? Anybody here know Jesus has changed your whole life? That's why, beloved, when I come on Sunday morning, I don't come just to come, but I come to tell God, thank you. I don't come just to come because I need to come, but I come because God has been good to me. Has he been good to you? I come, beloved, because I just want to tell God, thank you. If I had 10,000 tongues, I couldn't tell him thank you enough. But this Sunday morning, I want to tell God, thank you. Is there 10 of y'all in here got anything to tell God thank you for? Because you know he's worthy. He let you lay down last night. He's worthy. He let you toss and turn all night long. He's worthy. Early this morning, he woke you up, started you on your way. Is there anybody in here know God is still worthy? He's worthy to be praised. In other words, beloved, the subject matter of the text says that the church at 101 Friendship Street, as relates to the universal church, got to identify itself. Because you must understand the church at Thyatira was the church that compromised their relationship with God. Are y'all in here with me? I want to suggest to the Friendship Church, don't be the church that God identifies as the one that compromises your relationship with God. Why? Because you're going to need somebody to hold your hand. You're going to need somebody to guide your feet. You're going to need somebody to let you know not some things, but everything will be all right. Do I have any help here? No, it's not the capital city of the churches of Asia Minor, but it's one of the smallest cities of the church in Asia Minor. When I looked at that today, I understood, Deacon Fanny, it don't matter how big I am, it don't matter how little I am. God ain't concerned about size or number. He wants your heart. Are y'all in here with me? If you give God your heart, he'll take care of you. That's why I tell everybody, don't worry about what you got going on. Give God your heart. Don't worry about who's sitting next to you, in front of you, or behind you. Give God your heart, because if you take care of God's business, how many of y'all know he'll take care of your business? If you lift him up, he'll draw all men unto him. Do I have any help here? Here it is. It's the church at Thyatira. It's the church after the church at Pergamos. It's the church at Thyatira, beloved, that's 40 miles southeast of the church at Pergamos. But I thank God today that even in the midst of the size, I thank God, God was still in charge. Do I have any help in here? Because when I look at the text today, why Thyatira, on the other hand, have been founded by a woman, today it don't have to be confounded by a woman. Do I have any help in here? Because you got to understand, beloved, that when God builds his church, he doesn't build it around a person, he builds it around himself. I wish I had some help here. This ain't my church. This ain't your church. This is God's church. How do you know? Because Matthew 16 says, upon the rock I build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail again. Anybody in here, thank God this is God's church. Do I have any help in here? And so it is, beloved, as you look at the text, as you look at chapter 2, verse 18 through 29, there's a couple of things, beloved, that the text points out to those of us who are believers. First of all, it gives us a word about the services rendered. Secondly, it gives us a word about the sins received. But then thirdly, Sister Williams, it gives us a word according to verse 24 about the saints' relief. Are y'all in here with me? See, beloved, whenever I identify myself, even though I'm going through, God will bring me out. I wish I had some help in here. Even when I understand what I got going on, it don't matter if everything around me is falling down. As long as God is in me, he'll bring me out. How many of y'all in here will testify you've been with your back up against the wall, but God brought you out? How many of y'all will testify you've been on your bed of affliction, but God, he brought you out? Is there anybody in here that tell God, thank you, that it don't matter what's going on, when I identify myself as your child, you'll take care? I wish y'all to help me preach this. Anybody in here know he'll take care of you? Anybody here glad he'll take care of you? It ain't your mom, it ain't your daddy. It's God that watches over you all night long. It's God that keeps you from all hurt, harm, and danger. It's God that gives you grace and mercy. I wish I had about 5 of y'all in here who will make me feel better and just praise God because you know he's worthy. Anybody know he's worthy? Don't fool me. Anybody know he's worthy? He's worthy, beloved, to be praised. How do you know? Because first of all, it gives a word about services rendered. Watch the text. It's in verse 19. Look what the text says. He says, watch this. I know thy works and charity and service and faith and the patience and thy works, and the last to be greater than the first. Do y'all see it in the text? But he says, first of all, in verse 19, he's thanking them for their efforts. Are y'all with me? Let me tell somebody in here, God sees what we're doing. God knows what we're doing. God he knows our heart. He knows the hands of our labor. But guess what? If it's not about him and for him, we're doing it in vain. I wish I had some help in here. He thanks them for their works because he said, I know you got a lot going on. I know you got a lot that's troubling you, but I thank God that you're willing to take care of my word. That's a word for somebody in here today. Beloved, it does not matter what you got going on. Our ministry is bigger than we are. I wish I had some help in here. It don't matter what we got make going on at the house or on the job or in the family. The ministry of Jesus Christ is bigger than who we are. Are y'all in here with me? How do you know, Pastor Dave? Because I understand it ain't my life I'm living. I'm living his life through me. Are y'all in here with me? That's why I can die to myself, because I know if I die to him, anybody know he'll take care of me. He'll give me another life. He'll take care of his children. Do I have any help here? The text says he understands their service. Beloved, all I'm trying to say to those of you who hear my voice, you don't work to be saved. You work because you're saved. I just want to drop this out there for free. Nobody ought to have to make us from the pulpit to the back door do anything to move the ministry. Are y'all in here with me? But when we just think about our identity and who we are and look at the work that needs to be done, we ought to be just like Isaiah and say, Lord, here am I. If you need somebody, send me, I'll go. Are y'all in here with me? The services rendered based upon the ministries. The services that are rendered based upon the motives. Watch this. The text says in verse number 19, he knows their faith. He knows their patience. He knows our works and the last to be more than the first. He says to him, your motives ought to be for me. But let me just suggest to somebody in here, don't let nobody turn you around. I wish I had some help here. Sister Day used to sing a song a long time ago that says, I go if I have to go by myself. What am I saying? Don't be like the church at Thyatira. You got to go even if your friends walk off from you. You got to go even if church members don't want to do nothing to help you. You got to go even if you got to go all by yourself. Anybody in here say, Lord, I'll go. I'll do whatever you need here. Send me. I'll go. Got to help here. He gives us a word about their services. He thanks them for their service, but he said, listen, even though you've done good, your good ain't good enough. Are y'all in here with me? I think I've repeated myself over and over and over to tell you it ain't good enough just to come to church on Sunday morning. It ain't good enough just to come to Bible class on Wednesday night. It ain't good enough just to be in Sunday school on Sunday morning. You got to live what you believe. I wish I had some help here, because the text said, I know your works. Who is the high? The high is he that made everything and caused it to come into existence. The high is he that knows us even when we don't know ourselves. The text says he knows your works. Can I drop my kickstand right there? You may fool me some of the time, but you'll never fool God none of the time. He sits up high, he looks down low. Ain't nothing gonna happen until the Lord gets ready. Are y'all in here with me? They're good, they're active in the ministry. The motives are there, but beloved, they're good ain't good enough. I just want to move this before I press on. Don't let nobody stop you from your worship to your God. Don't let nobody stop you from making God your first priority. I said it again, I've said it before. Husbands, don't let your wives stop you from worshiping your God. Wives, don't let your husband stop you from worshiping your God. Parents, don't let your children stop you from worshiping God. Children, don't let your parents stop you from worshiping God, because when he comes back, y'all do know he's coming. I said when he comes back, y'all do know he went away, he's on his way back. When he comes back, every tub got to sit on his own body. I wish I had a witness in here. And when he comes back, I want to hear his voice say, servant, well done. You've been faithful over a few things. Come on up higher. I make you ruler over many. How do you know? The text says they got good works, but he says, I got some things against you. Do y'all hear me today? The text says, he says, you suffered the woman Jezebel, which calleth herself the prophetess, to teach, to seduce my servants to commit fornication and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. I preface my statement today and say you got to be careful of who you hang out with. I wish I had some Bible readers in here. Listen to me, young people. Y'all look at me clearly. You got to be careful of who you call your friends. Are y'all in here with me? Because everything that glitter ain't gold. Do y'all hear me? The text says he has a problem because we allow people to infiltrate the church. In other words, we allow people to take over the church. We allow people to come in and tell us what we ought to be doing instead of us telling them what they ought to be doing. This ain't their church. This is our church. It's God's church. Are y'all in here with me? So he talks about identifying yourself based upon the services rendered. He says identify yourself secondly because of the sins received. He said, beloved, the reason why you got to identify yourself, because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Are y'all in here with me? Watch the text. The text uses the word, the woman Jezebel. It never talks about the one who's been called by God. The text uses the word Jezebel. In other words, the text uses Jezebel, which means the wicked one. See, beloved, whenever you don't know what you know, and who you know, you will let just anybody come in and take over. Are y'all in here with me? But every now and then, you got to kick some folks out. You got to run some folks over. Because if we don't take back our church in hell, we'll lift up our eyes. How do you know the text says? The text says, watch this. It says, we've allowed Jezebel, which calls herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants. In other words, to persuade my servant to commit fornication, to eat things sacrificed unto idols. Why? Under sins received. Because first of all, she exposed them to false doctrine. Are y'all with me here? See, every Sunday ain't a shouting Sunday. See, every Sunday you ain't gonna come and leave here happy. Every Sunday, some Sundays you ought to leave here mad. Are y'all in here with me? Because the truth and the reality of it is this: we are exposing ourselves to false doctrine. We go every place, we sit up under every person, we listen to every preacher that